have the responsibility to determine who works and does not work for this county. I have the sole responsibility to determine who I feel fits in management, and I have lived with many, many employees that I don't think fits in with management, waiting for them to retire. You've seen most of the work done in this county, 14 years done in the last 3.5 years. And you will see that continue. And as I see Mr. Judah sitting back there shaking his head, disagreeing with what I say, that's what Mr. Judah has done most of his career. Now, that's a decision that I have to make. You can fill this room with 1,000 people, and it's not going to change. As far as why, the 7 terminations, Mr. Butts, I doubt you know any of them. If you do, I'm certain you don't know why, but they do. Mr. Judah is the only employee that's been terminated that was not told. Mr. Judah can come in my office, as every other employee that was terminated has, if they don't know why, but he didn't do that. He chose to do this. Bring you in, create divisiveness and dissension. No, ma'am, Mr. Judah did not request to see the county manager at all. He requested for an appeal. He is not entitled to an appeal. He is a management employee. All other employees at Wills also came to see me, and they knew why they were being retired. Mr. Judah chose to try to cause this, so you can make all the comments you want. He is a management employee. He has no entitlement. Mr. Judah knows that, and he always has known that since he's been in the position. Since 1989, the policy has been the same. When it comes to management employees, it is totally at the discretion of the county manager. He is an employee at will. For persons and employees not covered by the personnel rules and regulations, which means the grievance procedures of which hourly employees have access to, their employment shall be at the will and pleasure of the Board of County Commissioners under such terms and conditions as are determined by the Board or its designee. Now, Mr. Judah sent me a letter requesting an appeal. An appeal is a very strict and defined process for hourly employees that have what's called property rights. Now, what happens, you don't come in to the county manager and sit down and say, make an appeal. It requires testimony, it requires witnesses, it requires due process. Due process. Everything from the notifications, it requires pre-termination hearings, it requires substantial hearings before it comes to the county manager. That request was denied because he's not entitled. He never turned down talking to an employee, current or ex-employee, and never have I ever turned a citizen away. If this is the format he wants to address, no, I'm not going to give you a reason. The other 7, I know exactly why every one of them was terminated. Now, an employee at will, this is an employee at will state. At this point in time, as this county manager, my expectations or my desire is to change some of the direction we go. Just as we've heard complaint after complaint, probably some of you out there have made many complaints. You hear them, and it's not just Hardin County, it's not just Florida. Oh, government employees don't do anything. They just stand around leaning on the shovel. They don't ever do anything. They're lazy. Well, that's not true. And that's not true at all. There's many reasons. But there is those that are totally resistant to change and innovation. This county for many years has done nothing in road and bridge. For 10 years, in my first 10 years, but basically fill potholes, clean ditches, and mow. We had a paving machine when I got here sitting on the lot, of which I've been told over and over for the first 10 years, oh, we can't do that. We have that paving machine so that when we put out a bid, it's just sitting there so the bidders will bid low. And it sat there, and it sat there. I was convinced because I didn't know. We can't do this. We can't do that. And if we do that, then we can't do the other work. Well, I finally asked the board to surplus that paving machine, and they did. And we sold it because it sat there for years and years not being used. I believe that because that's how I trusted my management staff. Then all of a sudden, Ken Wheeler comes in, and I start discussing with him, and he didn't believe that. So we picked up a used machine after we had sold one. It was used, but I think it was purchased new. And we went to work. And we have paved miles of road. You may not like it what you got, but I'm certain if you're on a dirt road, you like it. And I would imagine there's people in here that's made the same comment. County employees are lazy. County employees don't do this. County employees, Nancy, county employees do it, so it looks terrible and you're embarrassed by it. And if they're checked, well, whatever you say. But it's been done. Looks don't necessarily apply to drivability. Chip seal is one project when the surface itself is not good. It tends to not improve drivability except on a dirt road, but it improves dust control. And I'll tell you point blank, Billy, you want to talk to me? I'll always talk to you, but I will not cover the infractions and things that I've dealt with for years in this room. The other employees, some of them would be totally embarrassed. Not only would it destroy them, it could destroy the people in this community that things were involved with. It could cause a lot of actions that their families would be terribly hurt if that was put out in the public arena. So the policy is, I'm not going to sit here of any employee and tell you the individual items. Now, every hourly employee that's been terminated, go get his record. Look at it. Dawn Stark was mentioned for one. Go read her record. She's an hourly employee. She's entitled to all those due process procedures. When you're in the process of termination, you're not entitled to see it until there is a resolution and it's resolved. So go down to personnel or request a public records request for those that are hourly employees, and you will see. Now, we give them a chance to resign. Now, I've heard all this stuff that's out there. Yeah, you asked to resign. If you were in the state system, in the retirement system, and you work for government, because I work for government and I know what my staff and the board staff and HRO does when an employee comes and we know he's worked for another county. We're going to call HR. Typically, you're not going to say much because concerned with litigation. But if we terminate an employee, he is not eligible for rehire. If you resign, none of that information goes in your record at all. It's clean. So you can check management employees' records. You're not going to see the reason why. And if you retire, you've got a greater opportunity to get yourself back into, or not retire, but if you resign, you've got a greater ability potentially to enter back into the Florida retirement. We don't hire people when we call HR with other counties and we ask the question, are they eligible for rehire? Unless I know the situation, they don't get an opportunity. They don't get another job. And that's what every county is going to do, and every organization and entity, unless you know personally. Yeah, I saw what got put out there for Ken Wheeler. I knew the exact details of his termination and why. I also knew who caused that termination, and I did not trust that, so I went to the people that I knew I could trust. Did he change things with Mr. Wheeler? You bet he did. That's why you're seeing paved roads today. Now, are you seeing less mowing? I could go through other strategies that he did to allow the same staff that does mowing to be this time of the season doing the painting. You see the same staff out there in Sweetwater paving that road. You will see them someplace else. If you've got $400,000 a mile, we'll contract that out. You will see specialists, trained, new equipment, and that's what you'll get when it costs money. I don't care if 1,000 people walk in this room. I'm not going to discuss the individual details. My comment at the beginning is because I know Billy. I watched him back there turn his face red and doing this. I know why he does that, because that's what he's done. And that's as far as I'll extend. I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. End of discussion.